What's up guys, it's Criddle here with another This Is Kuragane no Linebarrels, or better known in English as Linebarrels of Iron. So let's get to it, let's get straight to the point, and let's get
off the tracks.
So Linebarrels of Iron is the story of Koichi Hayase, who is a young 14-year-old boy who's picked on a lot at school. He isn't, the strongest kid, he isn't the brightest kid, he's just there and gets picked on a lot by the other kids. So it's suffice to say that when a giant robot drops out of the sky and nearly kills him, and he finds out that he can actually pilot the robot, well, let's just say he gets very, very arrogant very, very quickly. This series is very different in the way that it deals with the whole idea of someone that is weak getting power. A lot of series, they step into the role, they struggle at first, and then they ascend to the role quite naturally. However, with Hayase, he is very arrogant. As soon as he gains the power, it goes straight to his head and he just becomes power hungry and wants to use his power for effectively evil and to get back at all the people who did evil things to him as he was growing up. Emi Kazaki is the second character introduced into the series as far as the main cast goes. She falls out of the sky with Linebarrel, who is the giant robot that Hayase ends up piloting. And she has no memory of who she is to start off with. So Hayase, being the guy that he is, protects her, and it's by the connection with her, she's the actual owner of Linebarrel, and she gives him permission to use it. That's the only reason he can use it, is because she's allowed him to use it. The next character introduced is Niyama, who is a childhood friend of Hayase's, and she's been in love with him for a very long time. But Hayase doesn't realize that because he thinks that his other friend is the one that she's in love with. This friend is Yajima, and he has always been there to protect Hayase and has always been there to stand up for him. So Hayase, being the guy that he is and not thinking very much of himself and seeing his friend as this great protector, sees him as a threat and sees him as the person that Niyama actually is into. So there's this weird love triangle sort of thing going on in the series, as well as the giant robot stuff, which it's this breakaway from what's normal, which makes it a very interesting series and definitely one worth checking out. But it's different from other mech anime in that regard, so it's not your Gundam where people just drop straight into the role and they're instantly good at it, or they're instantly capable of handling themselves. Hayase is just this guy that wants to be strong enough to protect the girl that he's been in love with for a very long time, Niyama, and in getting his power, it goes straight to his head. He thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and proceeds to try and kick ass, thinking that he's some kind of superhero. Little does he know that this is really going to come back and bite him in the ass a bit later in the series, but hey, this is a really good show worth checking out. It's a bit gory at times, and there's some really nice plot twists in the show that you won't see coming until they actually happen. But it's a good show nonetheless, and you guys should definitely check it out. Let's get straight to the voice actors.
The good, the bad, and the dubbers.
So Josh Greel is the voice of Hayase. He is Itsuki from Initial D. He is also Kenichi from History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi. And of course Yamato from Magikoi O Samurai Girls, which I covered the other day. So yeah, nice connection with keeping the characters flowing through and all that sort of stuff. Emi Kazaki is voiced by Alexis Tipton, who is the voice of Mizuki from Baka and Test, and Sun Seto from My Bride is a Mermaid. Niyama is voiced by Kerry Savage, and she's also the voice of Miyu from Kenichi History's Strongest Disciple, which actually is really suitable because the voice of Kenichi as a character is a weak guy who wants to be able to protect the girl that he's in love with, which is Miyu in Kenichi. Whereas we got Hayase, who wants to protect Niyama, and that's the girl that he's been in love with. So it's a nice little parallel between the two series. She's also the voice of Lizana from Fairy Tail and the voice of Kaya from One Piece. Yajima, the final of our 4 characters that we'll be focusing on for this episode of This is voiced by Joel McDonald, who is Takumi from Initial D. So we've got Takumi and Itsuki in this series. They're best friends, which is fantastic, a nice little connection there as well. He is also the voice of Killik Rung from Soul Eater, and Toshimitsu Kubo from Baka and Test. So at the end of another This Is, what can I say about this series? I actually really enjoyed it. It's nice to see a parallel with a whole lot of other mech series and then break away from that with having the main character become ridiculously arrogant to the point where it actually puts people in danger. It's unlike Gurren Lagann, where arrogance is actually a good thing to have in the series, and other mech series like Evangelion, where the character never shows any arrogance despite being a pathetically weak kid who suddenly gains power to pilot a giant robot that is amazingly awesome and powerful and strong and cool. But hey, that's Linebarrels of Iron in a nutshell. I'm Criddle. I give this series an 8 out of 9 because it's actually fantastic and you should definitely check it out. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.